Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be discussing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 5. That just dropped last night, early this morning. Um, there was an end credit scene, of course. So if you didn't see that, heads up, you could go check it out and then come back. Um, this video, I'll try to make it a shorter one, or try a new approach to doing the video. I'll try to go through the main points and Easter eggs that were in the episode instead of going through the whole episode. So the first thing to start off is the episode starts off. Oh wait, spoiler warning. So the episode starts off with basically John running into a warehouse after he killed the guy. And here we get Bucky and Sam coming to meet him. We get the scene that has been floating around, or the image that has been floating around with John, with his head on the shield. We get that scene here. Well, basically, this leads into Bucky and Sam and Walker squaring off. And we get the scene where they ask, or Walker asks them, they don't want this, and Bucky says, yes, they do. So we get that scene here as well. Also, we get Walker proclaiming that he is Captain America. But basically, this leads to a fight with Sam and Bucky trying to get back the shield. This is a callback, I guess, in my opinion, to Civil War, where Bucky and Cap teamed up for Iron Man to fight him. Because we get some of the similar things that happen, they're happening here. Like, for example, in one of the scenes, we get Bucky getting his arm not destroyed like what Iron Man did, but it starts to go a bit haywire because he's hit on it. We get a scene where Walker has Sam pinned to the ground and goes to hit him with the shield, like what Cap did to Iron Man on the arc reactor to shut down his suit, as well as what he did earlier in the episode to the Flag Smasher. So we get that. We also get he ripped off Sam's wings, like literally tore them off like paper. However, this fight ends with one big, I guess, combo move. That being, Bucky holds his hand up and Sam uses the jetpack to pull the shield up off of his arm. And then Bucky lifts him in the air and runs into Sam, who flies towards them with the shield, and they take him out. And basically, we get Bucky taking up the shield and dropping it by Sam and leaving. So, that's the first main part. The next main thing or Easter egg that we get in this episode is with Torres, where we see Torres and Sam speaking. But the main thing in this is in the comics, I'll drop a picture. Torres took up the mantle of the Falcon, and we get a nod to that, and maybe it will happen when Sam leaves after speaking to Torres. He leaves the wings, and Torres tells him before he leaves, you're forgetting the wings. And Sam tells him they're broken or something to that effect, keep them, or to just keep them, something like that. So maybe Torres will fix it and pick up that mantle of the Falcon. So that's the second main Easter egg there. The third Easter egg comes now with the court appearance for John Walker. Of course, we get him being stripped of his title and the Captain America title and his benefits and all of that as a soldier. But the main thing to notice is the way that the higher ups are acting. And he speaks out against them and tells them he is Captain America again. And they turned him into this monster. They trained him basically to be this type of person. And now they're mad he did what they wanted. So we get that, and he walks out on them. When he walks out now, this is what I think is a reference to something that will be coming up later on in the MCU. And that is this lady named Val shows up. And she knows a lot about John, surprisingly. She mentioned she knows he took the serum and that was a good idea. She mentions that she'll call him. She mentions that the shield is not the property of the government. That's a gray area. So the government cannot take back the shield. It's not theirs. And we get one other thing. She gives his wife a call card and says she'd be in touch with him. and she leaves. But the call card is black and white. On one side is black, one side is white, but there's no information on it. And I feel this was the cameo that they were hyping up because they said that someone was supposed to cameo in this episode who's grounded in the MCU. And it seemed like Val was recruiting John here. And to me, she looks or sounds kind of like the Nick Fury type figure for the Thunderbolts, which I would expect to be Ross, but maybe it's her for this series at least. So we'll see more on that later as well. I'll reference something else when we get there. Oh, the next big Easter egg in this episode is Isaiah Bradley. Um, Sam goes to meet him after getting the shield and all of that before going home, and Sam meets him and they have a discussion. And basically, Isaiah brings up the whole racism thing is why they didn't want a black man to be Captain America. Um, but we get his backstory where he says that they gave him a shot and some of his guys shot and said it was tetanus, and they gave them different batches of the formula to see what would work. Some of the guys died, some survived, and he broke some of them out of this camp that they wanted to burn down to destroy evidence, but they still died. This is a direct reference to the comics because this is the exact same thing that happened in the comics. In the comics, they gave a bunch of African American soldiers in Vietnam going to the war the serum and disguised it as flu shots and tetanus and all of that. And a batch, well, not a batch, but a bunch of them died. And Isaiah was the only one that managed to survive. Um, of course, they experimented on him, like he said here, while he was arrested. I wouldn't call that arrested. They basically locked him up and experimented on him. They did the same in the comics. But they kept his story the same basically for the most part. We found out his wife died while he was in there as well. Um, so that's the next major comic book reference there. The other thing we get next, of course, is we leave there and we get Sam going home um, to fix his family's boat. This has been an underlying plot line for the entire series. And he calls in some favors to get the boat fixed or to get help from the community. So that is the other main plot line there. Then we cut to Bucky, and Bucky went to see Zemo, and of course, call back to Age of Ultron. Zemo is at the Sokovia Memorial that he mentioned in the last episode as well. Bucky fakes out to shoot like he's going to shoot him. It's a fake out, but he doesn't. He does pull the trigger, but it's empty, of course. And we see the Dormelage show up, and they basically arrest Zemo, and they say they'll take him to the raft. So this is the next thing. So we get Val recruiting John, or saying she'll call him. To me, that's trying to recruit him. Then we get Zemo going to the raft, and we know Ross runs the raft. So again, to me, there's more hints of a Thunderbolts team being formed somehow, because Zemo will be there, and they may ask him to join. The next main thing is Ayo tells Bucky to avoid Wakanda for now, but he asks her for a favor, and we don't see the favor yet, but he asked her for one more favor, and we cut away. We see a bit of Sam again trying to fix up the boat. We see Bucky comes to help now, or to deliver something. He delivers a giant suitcase or briefcase to Sam, and he helps them fix the boat. Basically, it seems that Bucky and Sam's sister is flirting a bit, but Sam helps them fix the boat. Bucky helps Sam fix the boat. Sam lets Bucky stay at their place and whatnot till he's ready to leave. So I'll get more into that in a bit, and I'll go through the whole rest of Sam's story there. But let's cut back to John now. We get just John talking to Lamar's family, and his parents are happy the guy got what he deserved for killing him. One thing to notice is his sister seems down still, not down but angry, and she's not talking, and she looks at John a bit funny. So this may be hinting or foreshadowing something, I don't know. But basically, John gets a picture of him and Lamar from after their first tour, and he leaves. And while he's walking out the place, he sees a big mural on the wall, saying Cap is back. And I would say this is a reference to Spider-Man Far From Home, where Spidey or Peter was only seeing murals of Tony all over the place. So little nods, callbacks, things like that. Um, so yeah, we get that. The next main thing that we get now is I'll jump straight back to Sam and Bucky and go through the entire story piece now. So Sam and Bucky fix the boat. Of course, we see Sam and Bucky training a bit with the shield. We get a training montage with that. Um, Sam gives Bucky some words of wisdom to help with his nightmares instead of trying to avenge, try to be of service to people and help them. Um, so we get things like that. We see Sam training again by himself. He's doing push ups and running and practicing with the shield. But basically, Sam and Bucky leave on a friendly term. Bucky goes back home, and Sam will call him if anything comes up. And we get the rest of Sam training, and he finally learns to master the shield at the end. Um, so yeah, so that is the main overarching story there of Sam. Also, they decided not to sell his parents' boat. So yeah, that's the main overarching story with that boat plot. There, next main thing we're jumping into now is at the end of the episode, we see the GRC is having this meeting, and this meeting is basically to discuss what to do with the refugees. And one of the guys, the same one who stripped John of his title, he is being an asshole, and he's telling them that they don't need to have the meeting. He could round up the people and just send them back. And one of the persons said people aren't cattle, basically. So he's treating people as if they're cattle then, or less than human. And we can tell that he may be underlying bad guy here. But yeah, this is where Carly comes into play now. So we saw earlier in the day before this happened. Let's jump back a little bit. We see Carly was in a park and she was sitting there, and she mentions to, I believe, the Asian flag smasher that she got help from someone, and we see some terrorists coming with some weapons, and he mentions to Carly that they're not terrorists. Um, but she says, haven't you seen the news? They're calling us terrorists. And basically, she's teaming up with this guy who doesn't like the Falcon. I can't remember if we've seen him before, but if not, we'll get backstory on him later on. But we basically get that, and then now back to the GRC thing, because we saw Callie use the phone to signal the group, like in episode 1, where the group came together to help them of civilians. So we get that again, and this signal now is showing that aside from people outside, there may be helpers inside. Cause we see two guys in suits shut off the power in the meeting, and a red light goes on. So the next episode will most likely focus on this, and this would be the big area where the battle takes place, I'm assuming. So yeah, Kali is going off the deep end slowly, and going from being justified in what she's doing to just being bad fully. Um, but yeah, the other thing now is the end credit scene. The end credit scene parallels a scene with Sam, which happened at the end of the episode as well. Um, if you put them side by side, it's basically them suiting up. But at the end of the episode, Sam gets information that Jarvis is being attacked or going to be attacked, and he begins to suit up. We see the shield on the bed, and we see him open the case that Bucky gave him from Wakanda, and he looks shocked. So I'm guessing it's a new Falcon suit, and of course it may be the Captain America colors. That could be why he's shocked, like the comics. Um, but that is paralleling to what we see in the end credit scene, which is we see John building a new shield and painting it a new Captain America shield. Not of vibranium, no, not vibranium, but of iron, steel, metal, some sort of metal. And he puts a star on it. I believe it's like a medal that he got from being in the army, or maybe it's Lamar's medal. But we see him making his own shield and suiting up as well. So it's kind of a parallel to Sam suiting up and him suiting up. So if you put them side by side, it's just them suiting up. So get that, and the episode ends. Um, so all in all, I thought this was a good episode. We had a lot of references throughout the MCU and the comics here. We had um, what seems to be confirmation that maybe Taurus will be the next Falcon. Um, Maybe Val, like I said, I assume Val is going to be the Nick Fury type character, setting up the Thunderbolts for us. Um, so yeah, that's basically all the Easter eggs I spotted. If I missed any, feel free to let me know down below. It was nice that they kept Isaiah Bradley's story the same. I was hoping we got a flashback to him and his younger days using his power and fighting, but maybe we still might. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But again, all in all, a great episode. I enjoyed it. This was the longest episode so far, and I believe next week is supposed to be 60 something minutes. Also, in Marvel time, that's like 5 minutes of end credit scene. Then, well, the credits, that is, then a small end credit scene, then more credits. So I'm assuming it'll be the same. But finale next week. And if you like this format more, let me know so I'll know to just discuss the Easter eggs and the main things instead of going through the whole thing and then pointing them out. So again, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.